Are you good to go?
Yeah, I'm ready. Watch or pass. No pressure.
Well, it is a very kind of I don't know, yeah, black or white type of channel name. So
Yeah, I was like, oh God.
I try to keep them fun. I try to keep them entertaining. So hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm talking to David Ryan Keith, the co-writer, director, sound designer, editor, kind of do-it-all person for I Am Rage, which is coming to DVD and digital on August 1st, 2023. I'm going to talk to him right now, and while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. I'll spend a lot. Thank you. So thanks so much for joining me today. I've got David Ryan Keith, the co-writer, director, sound designer, editor, kind of wonder person, do-it-all person for I Am Rage, which is coming to digital and DVD on August 1st, 2023. It is a kind of action-packed indie film that has a strange situation, some good practical effects, and a very, very angry protagonist. I'm very excited to hear more about this and hear kind of how this project came about. So thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, yeah. So
So the first question, like you co-wrote this, what was the inspiration for this story? Were you just very upset, or like what caused this story to come to life?
it was actually a different movie. It was a
Oh,
different movie I got pitched. And these independent movies are turned around so quick. When they get the money, the producers seem to panic because the money can just as quick move to another project. But luckily, a better project, I might add. But luckily, I had some time to kind of fine tune the script to something more I'd like to do. I think the original idea, and it sounds crazy now, was going to be like a Native American woman that turned into a bear and her shadow killed people. So, yeah, I'm glad I got the time to change that. Let's put it
yeah, that
that way.
that sounds like that'd be tough to do on an indie budget. Like
Yeah,
I imagine the effects would just be really, really bad, which is not never a good
yeah,
sign.
that's exactly the first thing I said. You know, it's an independent movie. This isn't going to work.
Yeah,
So I think it maybe turned out for the best for
yeah,
me
no, definitely.
anyway.
Although I'm curious to see how that story comes to life, but I don't think it would be a good end result. So I think you made the right choice.
No, yeah, it sounds a lot more like a comedy.
Yeah, exactly. um, so after you co-wrote this, you directed this. I assume you were always planning on directing, and you've got projects in your past. So it sounds like you were always like looking at this with an eye of how you're going to make this reality.
Yeah, it was. We actually had a bigger action movie, believe it or not, that we were going to do, and then COVID killed it. And this project, just for me anyway, just came out of nowhere. So I kind of jumped on it.
Mhm.
You know, it was pretty hardcore back in the COVID days. No movies were being made, more so in the UK, really. So it was something I was more than happy to sign on the line. Yes, I'll direct this movie. So it was one of the. I know that's a boring story, but so that's how this film kind of come about.
No, no, that's. I mean, that's always great to hear. Like, I know COVID was difficult, and I know it was tough to kind of navigate, especially it seems like so long ago. It seems like
I
so
know.
so far away from us. But yeah,
Yeah.
those times were scary. So I'm
I
glad
think
that
we
this.
had like three movies that like kind of got cancelled basically during the 2 years. So yeah, I mean, I'm appreciative that this one came along, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So this was this actually? It sounds like this was actually filmed during COVID, so you probably had to do all the
No,
normal. Oh no.
it
Oh,
was
okay.
we filmed it just at the tail end. I think I can't remember when we made this, like maybe like a year ago. So
Okay.
COVID had finished. I think you were still kind of like in a bubble. It was right at the end. So it was still a bit nerve-wracking because you could still be shut down
Mhm.
if one person got COVID. But luckily, we're filming in Scotland in the middle of literally nowhere, which made it, you know, us feel a bit more confident to push on with the production. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm getting flashbacks to making the movie now. I was like,
Hopefully, good flashbacks, right?
I don't know.
Hopefully not the flashbacks that happened in the film, but some of those flashbacks were a little bit more intense. So
Yeah, yeah, yes, that's right.
yeah, but that's interesting because this definitely feels like it could have been a COVID movie. It sounds like it was kind of a COVID movie by necessity because you're just worried about what would happen. Because you had like a small cast, you had kind of a remote location. It felt like the kind of hallmarks of a lot of the COVID independent films I'd seen. So
Yeah, I think all our independent, well, I would say the most independent films are like that. Try and keep the cast small, keep the locations, you know, minimum. because you don't really get that much money to make these movies. By the time you pay for the production, there's not that much else to put in front of the camera, which I would say is like 90% of all these independent films that get made. So yeah, the tricks of the trade.
Yeah, exactly. The kind of magic that you have to do to get this thing made. So speaking of some of the costs, I imagine, how did you get your cast? I really liked Hannah as the, I don't know, Erin, the main just kind of like angry character. How did you get her involved and the rest of the cast as well? Had you worked with them before?
No, we didn't. It was kind of hard actually, because once we decided it was going to be a female-led movie, and I thought it's an action movie. So when they pitch an action movie on an independent budget, you really got to think to yourself, what can you put in front of the camera? And I thought martial arts was probably the way to go. It's inexpensive and it's more visual. But when it came to casting, to find people that can actually act and do martial arts was actually a bit harder than we thought. So we kind of just was really lucky we found Hannah and the other actors, if I'm honest, that could do both.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a real relief, because we never really thought about that, if I'm honest. I'm like, we just have martial arts. And then it turns out, no, there's not that many people in the UK that do both. So yeah, it was a stroke of luck finding Hannah.
I like that. Yeah, it's like that meme where it's just like script, martial arts, question mark, profit, right? Like that's
I was just like, oh.
And so it sounds like my next question was gonna be like, did she have to do any training? Because she seemed very natural. It seemed like she was doing her own stunts. I wasn't certain. There were some angles where I couldn't tell if it was a stunt double or not, but it seemed like she was kind of out there and doing it all herself. Was she like a one-person army out there?
Yeah, we were lucky. We had a really good stunt coordinator from the US, and one of the conditions for the movie, and I've never had this before in a film I've done, is we put 6 days, and I wish I got that 6 days added to make the movie, but we put 6 days so they could train, which at the time I was like, I should have that 6 days, on top of the 18 days to make the film, but it was the best thing we ever did. There was a lot of martial arts, and Hannah especially had to learn a lot. Most of the cast actually did. So the stunt coordinator, Chris Torres, was great. And well, if you watch these kind of movies, it lives or dies. If you're going to go down martial arts or action, it lives or dies by the martial arts.
Yep.
So within the first 6 days of seeing what they were coming up with, like my first instinct was to panic, because I was like, oh my god, this is a lot of martial arts. But watching them doing it, I was like, oh, we're good. Hopefully we're good. This is pretty, I'm hoping we're ticking the box for fans of these kind of movies.
Yeah, I'm amazed that they were able to kind of learn that much in 6 days. I kind of wonder what did I do this week, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were doing it at nights. There were like the big house in the movie that you see. They had like this big room, and every night they'd be learning the martial arts or the fights. And I think Hannah said it was so much for Hannah to learn. She kind of counted on the other people to have their stuff down, so it would trigger her memory into who she was fighting next.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, you don't have that much time, right? So you can't do that many takes, right?
Yeah,
so
she never had a stunt double.
Oh wow.
She did absolutely everything. So she was, yes, by the end of the shoot, she was pretty bruised and battered, as they say over here.
And also, like, her clothes were rude. I was curious, like, one of the last fights takes place in like a muddy area. Was that by design, or was that just kind of fortuitous?
They learned that fight in the luxury of this huge living room we had on one of our sets, and then we had half a day to shoot that fight. Which is just crazy. And the weather, they wanted to shoot the movie in winter in Scotland, which is a ridiculous idea.
Yeah, that sounds like it's maybe freezing cold.
We had snow, rain, like it looks nice and sunny in the film, I guess, but there was days just off a shot, it was pure snow.
Oh my gosh.
We had like the crew raking all the snow away. So in the final fight, it was raining. And luckily the rain doesn't pick up on HD cameras that well, but they just had to slog it out for 6 hours in the mud. 2 cameras, go until we literally got told we didn't have any more time to shoot. So it was it was a hard one for those guys. Oh yeah, for definite.
the glamorous life of an indie filmmaker, right?
Yeah,
That's a rough day.
it's one of those indie movies. For some reason I only get 18 days to shoot my movies, and it's never enough time.
No.
So it just feels like it's a war. It's like a blur
Mhm.
of filming. Like at the end of the day, there was a couple of times in I Am Rage where I was convinced I hadn't shot scenes I'd already shot. It's just like, I shot that. It's just like a blur of filming.
Yeah, it's a fever dream, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do like the kind of circumstances that got that final scene out there, because it was really like, as they were fighting, I noticed them. I was like, damn, that looks intense. That makes it look that much more kind of exciting. So
Yeah, they were going for it for real. I mean, they had pads for some of the shots, but they were really making movie contact, not proper, but
Mhm.
yeah, they went for it.
That's awesome. And you mentioned this was filmed in Scotland. Like, how did you find this location? Had you worked at this, like, with this place before, or did you just kind of look to see what can we get on our budget, remote house, has all the checks all the boxes?
We found the house. It was like, Scotland's quite a small country, but there's up in the west of Scotland, it's quite remote, and we found like this old. It was like, the Masons, the cult of the
Oh,
Masons. It was like I
probably
think it
shouldn't
was
mention
like,
that.
yeah,
Just kidding.
but it was like a kind of old Masons manor. So we found that, but the underground bunker, I'd used that in a movie I did called Redwood Massacre. So it's classic indie. We'll shoot up there and then we can shoot underground in this bunker. And if we've lost time from that part of the shoot, we'll make it up in this part. So it was kind of well planned for an indie movie.
Mhm.
But all the outside stuff, we kind of got really hammered with the Scottish weather. It was really, yeah, rain, snow. We get like all seasons in one day in Scotland. So for making movies, it was hardcore. Let's put it that way.
This sounds like some of the descriptions makes it sound like a very kind of stressful situation, but it all came out, it all came together at the end. Right?
It came out at the end. It
Yeah.
came out. I remember once we'd finished making the movie, I was like, this is a disaster. We've lost like 2 days to snow, and so when we cut it together, I was really relieved we had a movie.
Yeah, you don't want to have just like a random scene in the snow that you just don't have any dialogue about it.
Like, we would turn up and it was just pure snow.
Oh my gosh.
And then it would melt. We'd start shooting, then more snow, rain, like in a constant cold, really Scottish wind. So I mean, the actors were really acting not to look cold.
Yeah.
So
but their anger was probably accurate, right? Like that was
yeah, they're probably angry with the production. They were dying for the movie to end.
One thing I was wondering, the like hunting area that had like a little platform and that church looking place, was that part of this like house that you rented? It looked like it could have been like a paintball field or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have paintball out there.
Yeah, it was actually a paintball field, and we were
I thought it looked kind of familiar.
Yeah, and you know what? We're kind of lucky to find it, and the people that owned the paintball field supplied all the weaponry, everything. So, but the only problem when we shot in the paintball field was there was nowhere really to go. You were just kind of exposed to the elements. We had generators, but you'd have to turn them off for the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So in a 10-hour day standing in the freezing cold, and because it was winter, there's no leaves, so the wind's constantly hitting you. It was a test. Let's put it that way. It was a test of mental endurance for everybody to get through the movie.
That does not sound fun. Was the paint like all washed away from the weather? Because I was like, most paintball fields I've been to just are splattered with colors, but this one I was trying to look for it to see if I could see it was a paintball place.
That's a good question. I guess maybe it was. I mean, there was paintball pellets everywhere. Less the people that play there are just really bad shots and don't. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we got lucky actually. Maybe, but there was so much rain.
Yeah,
before and after the shoot, probably did just get washed away, I guess.
Yeah, it's all water based, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
And one question about the costumes. I like the costumes. They were kind of like militant, but then one character's costume, I think it was Mr. Williams. He looked kind of like Crocodile Dundee. Was that by design? He like stood up. I was like, oh my god, that looks perfect.
Well, that was Nico. He's actually the executive producer.
Oh, nice.
And one of his only remits was I'm coming over with a cowboy hat. So I was like, well, what do we do? So we went into like a store and we managed to pick his costume in like 10 seconds. But yeah, I thought this is Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah,
of course. But I think the way he played it was a bit more with a tongue-in-cheek wink at the audience, which I went, okay, we might get away with this. We're not like we're hamming it up here, and the movie's kind of hyper realistic anyway. So I'm like, well, I'm hoping it work. I don't know. I haven't seen any reviews for the movie. Yeah, my fingers are crossed. It kind of it makes it different. It is a bit bizarre, but
yeah, it was a fun character. And I mean,
yeah,
to his credit, if I had arms like that, I would also just like insist on a cowboy hat and no sleeves, because that
I mean,
he put in the work, right?
Trust me, he was regretting it. He was regretting that choice once the weather kicked in. Yeah, he's from Las Vegas.
Oh wow!
So
yeah,
I mean, he was like searching for the sun in Scotland. Like, where is it? The yellow ball I used to know in the sky.
It's like it is the polar opposite.
Yeah, oh my god.
And one thing that I really liked is this film had, a commitment to practical effects. I know that in indie films it's sometimes easier or cheaper to do, but I did love that this film kind of focused on practical effects. Is that something that you always kind of do in your films? Was it budget? Was it realism? I think it works on both levels. So
yeah, I'm not like I had to do the usual computer generated muzzle flash kind of stuff and all that, but well, I do horror. This is my first action movie. I've normally done horror movies, so I come from trying to do it in camera. It just looks better.
Yeah.
There's so many movies. I started watching independent films, and as soon as some of the effects start hitting you, it takes you out the movie straight away, and it kind of reminds you straight away, oh, this is an independent movie. So we try and navigate that and try and do it the best we can, and trick the audience into thinking, oh, this might be a bigger movie than it really is. And I think the key to do that is do as much in camera as you can.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree. That's one of my big pet peeves is like CG effects that just kind of like take you out of the scene.
And I hate the muzzle flat. Like I hate all the computer. I don't know how they do them in Hollywood, but it's just something you can't get around. And especially over here in the UK, you're not allowed guns, and like even blank firing guns is quite hard to come by. So it's back to the actors going pew pew pew, and you got no choice. You got to put something in there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I know we're running out of time, so I'm gonna switch to, I call it the lightning round. It's just lightweight questions about the film. I want to see how your personal experiences map to things in the movie. You can feel free to skip any of them. I will not be offended, but I try to keep them very answerable. First question: when the family arrived at this house, there was a ritual. Like one person blew a horn. Do you have like a ritual that you do if you arrive at a new place? I don't know if you like obsessively check the locks or check the clock. I don't know which.
Somewhere I've gone, or like a hotel, or
yeah,
I check the mirrors. Where's the hidden cameras? Good. Where are you? I've watched too many movies, so I'm always paranoid.
And you do horror, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm like someone watching somewhere.
Next question: have you ever drank blood?
Have I ever drank blood? I don't even know why I'm taking the time to think about this. Of course, no. I was just like, no, I haven't drank blood. No, not yet.
Just want to be accurate, right? You never know. But you're from the UK, so you probably had like blood sausages and blood pudding, and you have a lot of like blood-based food out there.
Yeah, there is actually like there's some food I'll mention that you won't know, but I guess there's quite a lot of animal blood in it. Yeah, not human blood yet though.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. That's not how you fueled yourself through this movie.
It's based on my own experience. This movie.
How do you like your steaks?
Medium.
All right, so a little bit of blood, but not much.
A little bit of blood, yeah. There's a blood thing going on here.
Well, it makes sense if you see the movie. Have you ever been hunting?
No, I've never I've never actually been hunting. I've never thought about it. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, I probably wouldn't. I don't know. Yeah, unless maybe the animals had guns as well.
That would be another interesting movie. That's kind of like a horror action movie.
There you go. Maybe that would be my next movie.
There you go. So you are being hunted or maybe you're the hunter. I'm not sure. We'll leave it up to chance. But what weapon do you choose of the various weapons that they had in this movie?
I choose the stick, and I'll tell you why. They made this prop stick that somehow managed to get into every scene in this movie, and that's my weapon of choice from I Am Rage.
It is a reliable weapon, it seems.
It somehow sneaked into various scenes without me noticing. I've actually still got it somewhere. I was like,
that's awesome.
Stick!
Is it? I mean, it's a prop stick. Is it because is it light, or is it just like plastic or
no? There's a scene where the girl whacks the guy in the head with a stick, but it is fake, and they did a great job. It looks real, but it still had some weight.
Oh, nice.
And when she hit that Jamie Chambers, the actor, I mean, he felt that. I'll tell you that. I mean, she was hitting him around the side of the head, everywhere. So yeah.
But luckily, he was so numb from the cold that it didn't really feel it that much. And it instantly.
He felt. Trust me, he felt it. You could hear the proper. That thing hit him.
Do you or does your family have like a house in the woods?
No, but I wish. The older I get, the more I want to move into the woods, like a classic horror movie, and just sit on the porch and just moan at anyone that comes up, to the property. That kind of, I don't know how old you are, but I'm like 42 now, so I'm feeling the pull to becoming like a hermit, grumpy old person.
I completely understand. Although I think like the woods always strikes me as like a romantic thing during the day, but then at night you're like, oh, this was a very bad decision. Like I cannot see anything, and there's all these sounds.
No, you're right. And if you watch a lot of movies, right? Mm-hmm. If you ever go camping, or if you ever try to go camping by yourself, your imagination can certainly take over with all the movies you watch.
Yeah. Although for you, that's probably perfect. That's more fuel for other horror movies. So
it's true. But watching too many horror movies, alien movies, you've been walking about in Scotland by yourself and terrify yourself just thinking of all the various scenarios someone's going to get you.
There you go. So. The constant turmoil in your head. And the last question, I can't imagine you're going to answer yes, but would you consider yourself an angry person?
No. I mean, sometimes when you're making these independent movies, especially when they tell you how long you've got to shoot them or how long you got to shoot a fight scene, yeah, that's about it. But no, I'd say I'm pretty laid back.
Excellent. You probably have to be to kind of deal with the stress. Like if you were a high intensity angry person with this kind of schedule, that would not probably.
It would. I don't think you could ever be that kind of director making indie movies. I mean, you would end up killing yourself. Seriously, you would. It's like a war making these things. So yeah. There
you go. So the film is out on August 1st, 2023. You're out promoting it, getting the word out, letting people know about it. But I imagine you have other projects on the horizon. After people see I Am Rage, what can they look for next from you?
We've got a big action kind of sci-fi movie that we've just like kind of struck a deal to do. It's like the first kind of script I've done where I'm like, really? Yeah, I want to make this. So it went quite far before COVID. It was going to be a bigger movie, and now it's come full circle, and we're finally going to make it. So, I'm looking forward to doing it. Actually,
that's awesome. That sounds fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing that too. But before you can check out this unnamed future sci-fi project, you can check out I Am Rage, which is coming to DVD and digital on August 1st, 2023. This is David Ryan Keith, the co-writer, director, sound designer, editor, kind of one-man show. Well, I'm sure that it was a team effort, but he did a lot for this movie. And thanks so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
That was David Ryan Keith, the co-writer, director, sound engineer, sound designer, editor of I Am Rage, which is coming to digital and DVD on August 1st, 2023. It is an action-packed thriller that has a strange situation, some good practical effects, and a very angry protagonist. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.